Manis and Love.
Well, we got a quorum now.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just saying in general.
Welcome, members and guests. Today is Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. I hereby call the Subcommittee on Elections and Campaign Finance to order. Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Representative Holsclaw. Representative Love. Representative Manis. Representative Shaw. Here. Representative Williams. Here. Representative Wright. Here. Chairman Crawford. Present. Chairman Rudd.
Here.
Chairman Rudd, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's see. Are there any personal orders before we begin from members? Seeing none. Today we have 2 bills on the final calendar. We also have 6 bills on the special calendar. Let's see. We will address and move on. If I can figure out how to turn the page here. All right. There are. Item number 2, HB 2064 by Representative Manis has been taken off notice. That leaves us with item 1, HB 2489 by Chairman Dixie. We have a motion. We have a second. I believe we have an amendment that makes a bill. You have a drafting code on that?
016393.
That's what I have. Do I hear a motion on the, do I hear a motion on the amendment? I have a motion and second on the amendment. You want to go ahead and attach the amendment? All those in favor of attaching the amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The amendment is attached to the bill. Please tell us about your amended bill, what it does after the amendment.
All right. The amendment does make the bill. So this act to be known as the Student Voter Act, and what it does is it allows each high school shall inform each high school senior that upon reaching the age of 18, that a student may be eligible to vote and provide information about voter eligibility, how to register to vote, including the date and time of the supplemental voter registration conducted at the student's high school pursuant to a previous section.
And I believe you have some speakers.
I do. I have 4 students from Hume Fall High School that would like to speak to us and tell us about how this bill would impact their lives. Oh, 3. I'm sorry, 3 students. 3. I'm sorry.
All right. If there are no objections, we'll go out of session. We are out of session. If you would come up to the desk here where the 3 seats are, and Representative Dixie will, Chairman Dixie will help you cut the lights on. There should be a red light on so we can hear your microphone, and then tell us your name and where you're from. You begin. Move. Whoever wants to start, you move across.
Maroney. Okay, thank you. My name is Matthew Maroney, and I'm here for the Tennessee Student Voter Act.
Hi, I'm Katie Rush Walker, and I'm also here for the Tennessee Student Voter Act.
Good morning, or rather good afternoon. My name is Savannah Ray Snyder, and I am also here for the Tennessee Student Voter Act.
Well, go ahead. You each have 3 minutes, and then we'll ask if there's any questions. The committee can ask you questions. Please begin and tell us what you have to say.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, Chairman Rudd, and thank you to the committee for hearing my testimony. I speak today representing all the students, both those who are here with us today in support and all those across the state who support this legislation and are passionate about expanding democracy. Tennessee is underperforming on voter participation, and getting young people involved in civic life while they're still young will set a foundation of active citizens on which the state can build its future. The Secretary of State's efforts with the Ann Dallas Dudley Award make clear the state is aware of this need and committed to pursuing this end. This is, committee members, this is bipartisan legislation. After our efforts in the State and Senate Local Government Committee last week, Senator Yeager co-sponsored this bill, and every Republican voted to advance it. That proves this is an area of policy where we're capable of reaching across the aisle on to build a better Tennessee. At that same committee hearing, Senator Kelsey argued that Since some Tennessee high school seniors are not eligible to vote, this message could send the wrong signal. Our response is this. First, even if some students who are not eligible did attempt to register, they would not be able to. Our election system and officials prevent fraud. Second, a caveat could be included in the email detailing the qualifications necessary to be eligible to vote. Moving on, this legislation puts essential information in front of students without putting an undue burden on schools. Since the Secretary of State's office could write the message to be sent to students, school administrators could insert it into their own communications. Since all high schools already have systems in place to send mass emails, this bill would place an extremely low additional burden on school administrators. As another student testifying today will expand on, many young people don't register to vote simply because they don't know how to and perceive the process as more complex than it is. They don't have a clear grasp on how government functions and assume dealing with it to be arduous, but once the process of online or ballot registration is explained to them, they're able to register. As I said to the Senate committee, Tennessee students are a pile of kindling waiting to be lit aflame with the fire of democracy. This legislation is the match, and it's time for this committee to light it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, public servants of our beautiful volunteer state of Tennessee. This state and country hold dearly the values of democracy that have followed the legacy of July 4th, 1776. Some are liberty, representation, protection of minority rights, the endorsement of freedom, and the active right to participate in what democracy will mean to each generation. For my generation, these truths are self-evident of a new age of kindness, the valuing of a human's right to exist, and for this existence to know peace in a world where my peers and I have not known global acts of terror to not be an everyday occurrence. We want so much out of this life, and this starts with the determinants of what it may look like through voting. The Civil Rights Act, our district representatives, the right to choose one's path in life are all examples of voting. And it is the reason we can sit in this room together in coexistence today. Adults are strange creatures, believe it or not, and I am at risk of becoming one in August. What better way to grace each emerging adolescent into the responsibilities of adulthood than to grant us the right to integrate the power of choosing what we support through the accessible voter registration. When we take the ACT and apply to our colleges, when we get our permits and licenses, cash checks at the bank, our student IDs are valid. These choices are commonalities, and yet the civil obligations we are encouraged to take charge of each year are at a hindrance. Students aren't registering because our parents are working, and they cannot explain these processes to us if they know it all. We must sit to wonder, should we participate in being seen and not heard as we are children? Which legal documents make us qualified to vote in the first place, and where we can even register? Our educational institutions are here to equip these questions with answers. Won't you extend the olive branch of humanity in helping the youth of this country become registered voters, empowering us through our mandatory government, civic, and microeconomic classes to be applied, which I may mention are graduation requirements, 18 days left. When we learn the most in this age of information is that it takes trust, effort, and straightforward truths to allow us to be eligible citizens who vote, the ultimate execution of a democratic republic, participating in what makes this land uniquely free, the right to representation through voting. This starts not with registration, but with you, adults, who work for the best interests of us all, or at least that's what my mom tells me. This starts not with registration, but with you. We know what we need for our generation. We are set apart by our smartphones, our cultures of social media, and a radical tolerance to love one another, human to human. We need to register to vote, need support to express these civil duties, and need to pass the Tennessee Student Voter Act for such access. Today, won't you listen to us as proclaimed public servants, as a virtue trusted to a select few by our votes, to secure this basic democratic function. Choose the children that will become adults soon, the future that will learn from the past, and the hope of our homes, all of us. Thank you.
Next.
Hello. The right to vote is fundamental to the foundational beliefs of the United States. This bill would support that being an easy way to ensure representation of young people while being free of cost, maintaining the sanctity of Tennessee elections, and being completely bipartisan. A study published in the American Journal of Political Science in 2003 shows that voting is habit-forming and that young voters are much more likely to vote and be civilly engaged for the rest of their lives. This is very important as our democracy relies on the engagement of citizens. If the next generation of voters lacks information on how to exercise their right, Tennessee will become less connected Tennesseans will become less connected and involved in their communities to the detriment of the state. This bill would help increase the number of people who are passionate about Tennessee and continuing its great legacy. Tennessee is abundant with young minds willing to learn about its politics, regardless of party, and further its greatness with tremendous energy. This bill can be the catalyst for young people to carry the torch of democracy when it is time for them to take it up. Thank you.
Thank you, three of you. Does the committee have any questions of the? Yes, we have two. I don't know who rose their hand first, so I'll go nearest me. Representative Hosklaw, Chairman for Hosklaw.
Thank you, Chairman. And got just a couple of questions for you. Number one, how old are y'all?
I'm 17.
I'm 16.
I'm 18.
How many of you have a driver's license? Okay, that goes well with what the statistics say. There's 3 of you, and it's about 35–40% don't have their driver's license. So I find that very interesting. But do y'all get extra credit for doing this, or?
No.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your efforts, and you have to be brave to come up here and do this. So I applaud your efforts. Thank you, Chairman.
Chairman Williams.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming up here as well. Just a quick question. My son's and daughter's high school, they have a time every year where they do register students at Cookeville High School. I guess the question is, does Hume-Fogg not have that service, or is that only for maybe seniors, I suppose?
It's only for seniors.
I'm not sure. We haven't had a day where anyone's come and assisted us in registering to vote, but I mean, looking at the numbers, I think it's clear that the current systems we have in place aren't getting everyone who could be registered to vote. So we don't think the current with the status quo is enough.
Okay.
I would say that even if Hume-Fogg is very special in a way that they cultivate our interest in politics and being able to do things like this today, but I can't say that's universal for all high schools. We're at a very privileged opportunity to be seniors and aware of this, and our goal is to make sure that we're all have the equal opportunity to be aware of this as well. So,
Representative Shaw.
I just want to thank all three of you for coming. I'm very impressed. I just want y'all to know that I'm very impressed with all three of you. And I just appreciate you all, what you've said, your mindset, and wanting to see this democracy work, because old guys like us will be off the scene, and it'll be people like you all who will be running government. And thank you for what you're doing and for the success in your life. Thank you so much. I just want to say that. And by the way, I do want to ask you a question. Where did you get the name Rudd from? Are you related to the chairman?
No, I said thank you, Chairman Rudd. At the beginning
I'm
of my
sorry. I
speech.
thought you. I was wondering if your name was Rudd, because I thought, man, you pulled one today. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Hosklaw.
How big's your old high school?
900 people?
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, okay. I had your name over here. Chairman Crawford.
Mine's for when we go back in session.
Oh, okay. Any other questions out of session? If not, I want to thank all three of you for testifying, and all the students for showing up and participating in our democratic form of government.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see, we'll go back into session, and I believe next up was Chairman Crawford.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr.
excuse
Chairman. My question's for the sponsor.
Okay.
Can I just make a statement really quickly?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank, this is the AP government class from Hume-Fogg, and thank every one of them, all of them here. They're from the class together. They actually wrote this bill, did the research. They put a website together to support this. And I thank their teacher, Miss. I know.
I honestly had nothing to do with this. They do this all independently. I do teach them, so I wanted to come see them present. But this was done completely independent of the course. They've been working on it for years. Katie, she's 16. She's not in my AP government. I will have her eventually. But no, this was not anything done at all in coordination with my course. They did this all
Just want to say thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me that indulgence.
Thank you. Chairman Crawford.
Yes, my question is for the sponsor, Mr. Chairman. Now that the amendment is on there, 16393, does that take the post-secondary accreditation ID out?
Yes.
Can you tell me exactly what your bill does as amended?
Oh, it does. It basically allows the Secretary of State to send an email to the schools, which will disseminate it to each eligible student over the age of 18, and to provide information on how to register to vote, including the date and time of supplemental voter registrations. That's basically it. It just sends an email instructing them how to vote, how to
Chairman
register to
Crawford.
vote, and where to vote.
Do we not already do this at least once a year?
No.
We
It's
don't.
not. It's not uniformly, not in the high school. I
Okay.
think each LEA may come up with some version of it, but some may do it, some may do it, as you heard from them. They're in Metro Nashville Public School System, and they do not receive that at this moment. This will help ensure that it gets done across the state evenly.
All right, Chairman Crawford.
I'm just a little confused. I understand what he's wanting to do as far as send the email, but it was my understanding from the Secretary of State and the Commissioner of Elections, Mark Goins, that we already allowed people, we went into the high schools at least once a year to register them. So I'm confused. Thank you.
Point of privilege on the chairman to clarify something. They may not have done it yet. It is state law that the local election commissions in each county is supposed to go in and hold a voter registration drive. They may not have done it yet. They may do it at the end of the school year. And also, the bill as amended does not require the Secretary of State to send an email notification. It just requires the school to inform the students. I believe when they're, turn the age of 18, that they have a right to vote and provide that information. Okay. Next up is Chairman Williams.
Thank you. Representative Dixie, just to clarify, I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but if, as I mentioned to these young folks a moment ago, if my high school is doing more than this, meaning they're in civics class, signing kids up, helping them fill out voter registration cards and those kinds of things in my high school, does this prevent them from doing anything that they're doing currently that's more fully developed than what your bill does?
The answer is no. Number one, civics classes aren't taught in every high school. It's not a requirement, a graduation requirement. So this would be an addition to. So this would not prevent you from, or that school from doing whatever they're doing now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the opportunity to hear from our young leaders and also to get clarity on what actually happens. We all know that high schools are supposed to give students an opportunity to register to vote. It seems to me that what your legislation is doing is just making sure that the high schools give information to the students about the opportunity to register to vote, the opportunity to participate in that supplemental registration that occurs at the high school, give them the date and the time. Again, to your point, to provide some uniformity to it, so at least we know that across the state, some things that are being done, at least we know now that it'll be done in a fashion where everybody is clear about, the information. And I appreciate that. And I really am excited to know that we have students who are in the process already of thinking about legislation and how to craft it and how to engage the process, because policy making is an important process. It helps shape so many things in our lives. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, teacher, for the influence she's had on you. So again, thank you for the clarity on just the fact that this bill will allow students to know that, and I think we assume things sometimes, like everybody should know, but there's so much goes on in the school day for seniors that information about when the supplemental registration date is and that they may have the opportunity to register is very important. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Love. I just think it's important that we engage our young people in the democratic process and early on, because I was engaged early on with my grandmother and my mother. They always took me to go vote with them, so I knew that it was important, and I knew I had to register. But so it's important that we do engage them early on in the process so they understand this is a lifelong obligation that you have. I know it's a right, but I consider it an obligation that I have to vote and to make sure that other people around me vote. So thank you again. Thank you, committee, for giving us the opportunity to present in front of you. And thank you for listening to them, and I ask for your vote.
Representative Shaw, I believe you're next on the list.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess the question now is what would we hurt by passing this? Given the Secretary of State says that they already do it, and given the fact that schools say they already do it, would it not be to our advantage to have this in the code in case that was one of those years where they get busy and don't do it because they don't feel like they're required to do it? I think what we would do is add some teeth to say at least every school is required to do this. So I don't see how we hurt ourselves by passing this. Basically, if we already say that we're doing this, I just don't see where there's a problem.
Let me ask one question to legal here and see if we need to go out of session to ask a question. I don't know. I think it's one thing that's very important. Since currently it's in state, the election commissions go in and hold a voter registration drive in the high schools in each county. And if we pass this legislation, would any of that code interfere with what they're doing, the voter registration drives? Would it override anything? We'll go out of session to ask legal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. No, this would not change that the supplemental voter registrations that are required by 2-2-111. The County Election Commission would still need to go to each of the high schools for voter registration purposes. This would just require the high school to provide some information when the students turn 18.
Okay, thank you. Any questions legal? We'll go back into session. Seeing none, we'll go back into session. Next up is Representative Love.
Yes, sir, and thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for the indulgence. And I just listened to all the questions we have about it. I wanted to use an example from my own life about why it's so important. My birthday was in December. Well, it is in December. I'm still here. It's in December. Right. And so I was 17 when I graduated. And there was no opportunity if it was for, yeah, it probably does. There was an opportunity for me to register, right, in the school, because I would not have fit into that registration process for those who are, I know, but I'm trying to get somewhere with it, right? So that the benefit of it is, as a graduating senior, right, they would inform me that upon turning 18, I would be able to register to vote. Because you have some kids that get lost in that category, because if they're not close to turning 18 before the next election, I think the law says you can register at 17 if you're going to be 18 before the next election. But if you're not going to be 18 before the next election, you don't get to register. And so I would not get a chance to register because I wouldn't have been 18 before the next election. But if there's an email coming or notification from the school saying, hey, Harold Love, we know you're graduating, we know you're 17. However, when you turn 18, though you'll be out of high school here, you will have the chance to register to vote at your local election commission or whoever's on the registration. But we want to let you know that because you didn't fit into that category of students who could have registered at the supplemental registration date. And so I just wanted to lift up that there are little instances that sometimes we miss in the law. And I don't want students to get left out because their birthday may be in December or November like mine was, and because of the graduation year, they graduated before they were 18.
I got two more people. I didn't know if you, okay, sponsor. Next up is Representative Manis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the way I understand this is it is the local election commission's responsibility to do the voter registration, but I'm just verbalizing this, so I'll get it straight in my head. But the high schools there's no teeth in it from the high school perspective. My election commissioner says that they can inform, sometimes they may not inform. So the way I read this, it is each high school shall inform. It doesn't, so there's no way out for them. So I think it's a great idea. I think they should inform their seniors that the supplemental registration is going to happen. So thank you all for bringing this legislation. I echo everyone else's sentiment. Thank you.
Next, if the sponsor has, next up is Chairman Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, because when I read the amendment here, it doesn't say anything about notifying the seniors. It says upon turning the age of 18. So the instance my friend gave from Nashville here, it wouldn't have informed him anyway because he turned 18 after he graduated. Thank you.
Mr. Sponsor.
Well, the first sentence says each high school shall inform each high school senior. So that is saying if you're a senior, it doesn't matter if you were 14 years old and you're a senior, they're going to inform you because you're a senior upon turning 18 that you have these ability or the information to how to register to vote, where to register to vote, and a supplemental voter registration.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I don't want to get into a back and forth, but I did want to make the clarification that, and maybe it's my reading of it, to what the Chairman Dixie said, I would have fit in there because it said each high school senior will be informed that when they turn 18. It's like saying each high school student will be informed that when they graduate, they will no longer be enrolled in the school, right? They let them know that when you reach that point. And so you could be 16. We have students taking dual enrollment courses that may be graduating from high school earlier. I would love to see a situation where maybe a 16-year-old is going to graduate because they have done well in school, gets informed by the high school, hey, 2 years from now, right, you may be eligible to register to vote. And that's just information. That's all. And I think that's all we're trying to get here is that we want to inform students about their opportunities. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a question. I believe that's all the questions we had. I had a question called on the bill. Are there any objections to voting on the bill? Seeing none, we'll be voting on HB 2489 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
No.
Ayes have it. It passes on to local full.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Chairman Williams.
Thank you. I recognize I'm out of order. Representative Dixie, congratulations. These kids have helped you pass a bill out of the subcommittee.
This is their bill.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
is their bill. So maybe I'll get them to write all my bills.
Chairman Hosklaw.
Thank you, Chairman. And Dixie, have you taken these people to see Trey? Have you taken them to see Trey Hargett?
Can't go over there.
I think you ought to go visit Mr. Hargett.
So apparently it looks like these are more of their classmates that came in. So they missed the fireworks, but they were successful in getting it out of subcommittee. Still have a couple more hurdles to go through. So,
But congratulations, and may it move forward.
yeah. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Thank all of you for participating. Let's see, that concludes our final calendar. And we, I guess, need to say that we are finished with our final calendar. Now we can move on to our special calendar. All right. Let's see, on the special calendar, item number 1, HB 1447, has been taken off notice. And we're sending that to the clerk's desk. Let's see, also, item number 6, HB 2101, has been taken off notice, and we'll send that to the clerk's desk. Next up, We have bills. Let me explain what we're doing here. We have bills that have been defeated, and any bill that has been defeated in committee on third row, which is why they're here on a third row, they automatically come to this special calendar. It takes 3 members from the prevailing side to bring the bill back up for consideration. So that's what we're doing. If not, we'll send these defeated bills to the clerk's desk. So I'll have to go through those one at a time. And next will be, let's see, as I just explained that, do I hear a motion to reconsider the action? Hold it. Do I hear a motion to HB 1634 by Griffey? Do I hear a motion to reconsider the committee's actions? Hearing none, HB 1634 is sent back to the clerk's desk. HB 2074 by Representative Griffey. Do I hear a motion to reconsider our actions? Hearing none, we'll be sending HB 2074 back to the clerk's desk. Next up is item number 4, HB 2305 by Representative Griffey. Do I hear a motion to reconsider our actions? Hearing none, we'll be sending HB 2305 back to the clerk's desk. And final item number 5, HB 1324 by Representative Hardaway. Do you hear a motion to reconsider actions? Hearing none, we'll be sending that to the clerk's desk. And that concludes the special calendar. Now we can move on to the special speakers calendar. I'm just kidding. There is no special. Yes. On the back. We took that off notice and sent it to the clerk's desk. I did get that, didn't I? Okay. All right. Before we closed, any members have any announcements or personal orders? Representative Shaw.
Thank you. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for a job well done. I've enjoyed working with you on this committee and all of the members for that matter, but certainly I appreciate you and I want you to know that. And I want to say that publicly, that you've been a good chairman and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other motion? Any other? If not, let's see. I want to thank all the members. It's been an honor to serve with all of you. I want to thank our legal and thank my assistant and research. Also thank our staff in the back there that keeps us all. And thank all members and everyone, and thank our sergeant at arms and the gentleman at the rear, our IT guy. Thank everyone, and thank the speaker for the opportunity to serve as chairman of this committee. I hear a call for food. Someone must be hungry. I do. Speaking of that, I do want to thank Representative Coleslaw, as he was called the other day. I think the rumor is he's responsible for Slawburger Day upstairs. Okay, thank you for that. But again, thank all of you. This has been an honor, and I appreciate it. And with that, I want to thank again all of you. And do I hear an invitation? Do I hear a motion to adjourn at the call of the chair? I hear a motion. Do I have a second?
So moved, second, third, fourth.
All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned to the call of the chair. Thank you.